Alright, I got a question on the Accutrak leak detector, and the question was just about what kind of learning curves involved, and what are some of the, I guess, tips for using it. So let me go through excuse me, let me go through my kit first, and then we'll get to the leak detector. In this kit I keep, this is my leak detector kit, and I've got the Accutrak gooseneck version, and that may be the model right there. I don't even know if that'll show up. VPE-GN PL. Anyways, it's just the gooseneck version, and I do highly recommend the gooseneck version, because what you're going to want to do is, like, you know, some coils are pretty hard to access, and so you'll want to go in and have this at an angle so you can, you know, get in tight places. Definitely get this one. The sensor is in the end, so it is really accurate if you can get this close to wherever the leak is. I keep a mirror in here just so that you can, you know, see if you've got leaks and bubbles down in odd places. I have the AM probe little emitter. This thing makes a god-awful noise. I'm probably not gonna show it in the video. It's just a real high-pitched squeal, ultrasonic squeal. You can't hear it with your ears, but you can pick it up with the leak detector. But what this is for is if you've got like, say you've got a freezer door that's not sealing well and it's pretty hard to see why, you can put this in the freezer and it'll emit a noise, and you can go around the seal and you'll hear it where it's leaking. This is just a holster that comes with the leak detector. These are the headphones that come with the leak detector, and honestly, you know, you would probably be better off just saving money on the kit and just getting your own headphones. These are they're okay. I mean, they're kind of uncomfortable. I had to cut some tabs off of here that are digging into my head and stuff like that. They're okay. They're made by I don't even know how you say that, but that's the brand. I keep this stethoscope. This is made by Lisle, L-I-S-L-E. It's an automotive tool brand, but so strangely enough, sometimes if the leak is too big and it's hissing like inside of an outdoor unit, sometimes those freaking leaks could be hard to find. You know, they're just so big, it's hard to tell where they're coming from, you know, so you can feel around the pipes, and sometimes if your finger passes it, it'll change pitch and you can find it that way. But this works pretty well. It's got a cone there that you can kind of pinpoint the direction. I'll use this also with this end here to check out bearings and stuff like that. And you know, if you got a situation where you have like a motor, an idler, and a blower pulley, you can sort of pinpoint where the noise is coming from. Sometimes, you know, if you get squeaks on like mini splits and stuff like that, it just helps to be able to pinpoint the noise. So this thing is good for finding some larger leaks, but also for just working with noises in general. So let's get to the leak detector now. So one thing that you can do to practice, because you do need to practice with this tool, and I'm going to start out with a bigger leak, and then I'm going to try to work down to a smaller leak to try to show you how the noise difference can be really subtle, but if you practice it, it is pretty clear. Anyways, if you want to make this, I put an air compressor end on it because I was using it mostly in my shop, and then I decided I wanted to keep it in my van, so then I just put a tap in there. But all you're doing is just putting a tap in a piece of pipe, crimping it, and soldering it. I would probably recommend solder and not braze, and then you just cut into it with a file and stop every so often and dunk it in water and see if you got a leak. And you just keep doing that. If you go too far, you know, with solder, all you got to do is just reheat it with just a little bit of heat, and it'll close back and you can start cutting again. But once you get that leak, then you can adjust your pressure on your nitrogen regulator to get more or less of a leak, and you can use this for testing sniffers, or in this case the ultrasonic. Now, one thing with an ultrasonic leak detector is, okay, so some of the benefits of it are you can go really fast. You can move really fast across the coil because, you know, unlike a sniffer, it's not drawing refrigerant up inside of itself. So you don't have to just inch along and hope that you've spent enough time in an area. You can just scan right over an area. So that's an advantage. You can use it outside when it's windy because the wind doesn't really produce ultrasonic noise. So that's an advantage. Sometimes you can even hear leaks from a distance, so that can be an advantage. You know, there's no calibration, so there are definitely advantages. I wouldn't say that it completely replaces a sniffer, but there are definitely some advantages. So anyways, I have a leak here, and I've got this hooked into my speakers. Now I'm really not sure what the camera is going to pick up and how clear it'll be, so I'm going to try to describe kind of how the noise is changing, and we'll just see. I mean, whether it turns out good or not, I'm still going to post the video, so just bear with me. Alright, so I've got the leak detector on, and hopefully you can hear that kind of static, and I've got it in maximum sensitivity. So if I go over this leak, to be honest with you, you can't really hear this one at this point. Some of them you can, some of them you can't, but what does make a huge difference is if you take like a spray bottle like this and you just wet down the area. So you just basically just spray everything down, and that makes a huge difference. So you can hear it just from me getting it wet. It's almost too noisy. I'll cut it down some. You see? So what you're really looking for is a change a change in pitch, and you have to be really careful. You have to stay still, you know, because you can get, I'll see if I can see, you know, just moving, you know, your hands and clothing will make that same static, but you'll hear the baseline static of the tool, and what you're listening for basically is a change of pitch as you go across something. You hear that change. So anyways, so that's about the leak size we have here. You can hear that, and I have that. I'm gonna turn that down a little bit. So there's the leak. Now if I turn this down, or turn the pressure down, let's see if I can create like a super small leak. This thing is actually pretty sensitive. I've found leaks so small that you can't even really, I mean, you have to look super close and for quite a while before you can even see the little microscopic bubbles coming out from your leak detector. Alright, so now I'm just cutting the pressure down on the nitrogen. I want to see if I can get this leak quite a bit smaller. Okay, so there's a super small leak. I'll try cutting that down even further maybe. Alright, so I just barely have bubbles coming out of there, and alright, so let's see here. So it's picking it up very faintly. Let me switch over to these headphones to see if I'm getting any difference here. Yeah, it's sort of makes like a little bit of a crackling sound, and so that's kind of what I've heard sometimes when there's a leak. It's like it's not static per se. It's like a little bit of a crackling, and sometimes it'll change too, just based on if you just add like a little bit of water. You can really, I might switch back now. You can really hear even better than the than with the bubbles. Alright, so let's see here. I've got it cut down so far now. I'm not sure it's, yeah, it's not even leaking at this point. Cut that up a little bit. Okay, so you can hear how the water makes a big difference. Now this is a super small leak that I've got here. It's just, I mean, I don't know if you can see the foam, but I mean, it's just barely. It's one of those kind of leaks that just a small little, super small nest of foam. And with that being the leak rate, and if you've got it wet, even a leak that small, sounds like that's that crackling I'm was trying to describe. Hopefully you can hear that on the camera. It's a real loud crackling. But what, you know, you'll be going across a pipe, and then all of a sudden you hear that, and when you hear that, that's when you spray it. And so the learning curve is really just getting used to the different noises that this thing makes. Like if you're around fluorescent lights, it'll pick that up. It'll pick up some electrical static. And basically you just have to get used to hearing your baseline static and then recognizing when that changes. And sometimes even going on like copper, there'll be some kind of like maybe electrical noise on the copper itself, but again, you recognize that, and you learn, okay, that's normal for this area. When I'm around this coil, I'm hearing that. And then when you hear, the first time you hear something unique in a single spot, that's when you know to spray that spot down with your bubble spray. But I will say, if you can just go over the entire coil and everything and get it wet, it really does help. Now, sometimes leaks, actual real leaks, are easier to hear even than this, because what the detector is actually hearing is as the gas passes through, like a crack, any kind of rough, jagged edge, it makes a ultrasonic sound. It's the jagged edges of the hole or crack that make an ultrasonic sound. So typically the leaks that I find on units are a little bit easier to find even than this, because here, you know, I've got a nice soldered surface that I'm cutting into, so it's not that jagged of a hole compared to, like, you know how like pinholes in braze are. Those are even easier to hear. But one big advantage of this is it doesn't matter what's in the system. Doesn't matter if it's refrigerant, it could be compressed air, nitrogen, you know, no matter what system you're working on, you know, even if it's like a pneumatic system, you can hear, if you've got any kind of gas in there coming out of a hole, you can hear it. So yeah, you know, I can't say that this completely replaces a sniffer, but it's typically my go-to tool for leak searches. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful. I know it was kind of a long video and a little bit rough. I'm just going to post it. I'm not going to try to edit out any of the time I was messing with this or whatever. But anyways, hopefully it's helpful enough and relevant enough to answer questions on this tool. Now, lastly, I will say, you know, even though I have the Amprobe emitter, I just bought that off of eBay for pretty cheap. I would not get the Amprobe ultrasonic leak detector. At the time, I couldn't find any information on how they compared, so I bought that one with free returns on Amazon, the Amprobe, and then I bought this one. And I tested them side by side on a small leak, and I was definitely able to clearly hear small leaks with this that the Amprobe wouldn't pick up. So this is the only company that I would recommend that you buy from, just based on my experience. They're not sponsoring me or anything like that, and it's made in the USA. These are built right here in America, so I like that too. Anyways, hope that was helpful, guys. All right, see you for now.